You know the feeling, right? You're staring at a blank page, or maybe a pile of laundry, and you know exactly what you're supposed to be doing, but instead you find yourself doing literally anything else. Well, this isn't just you being lazy. It's actually a full-blown battle happening inside your brain. And today we're going to get into the science of that battle. I mean, it's a super weird paradox when you think about it. You set the goal, you make a solid plan, but when it's time to actually do the thing, this invisible force just takes over and holds you back. So what is going on in that gap between what you intend to do and what you actually do? Let's unpack it. To really get to the bottom of this, we have to go way back, and I mean way, way back. This is not some modern problem that our smartphones created. Nope, this is an ancient riddle that even the great philosophers were trying to solve. Okay, so first things first, let's just get this out of the way. Procrastinating doesn't make you lazy, it just makes you human. Seriously, some of the most brilliant minds in history, we're talking Socrates, Aristotle, they struggled with this exact same thing. They even had a special word for it. That word is akrasia. It's the ancient Greek term for that feeling of acting against your own better judgment. You know, it's that moment when you know you have a huge project due, but you suddenly decide it's the perfect time to reorganize your entire bookshelf. Yep, that's akrasia. Now, if we fast forward a couple of thousand years, author James Clear puts it in more modern terms. He says it's basically the force that stops you from following through. It is that gap between your intention and your action. So what's the deep down psychological reason we all do this? Well, this is where behavioral psychology comes in, and it gives us a really cool way to understand what's happening. It turns out the battle isn't just about you versus the task. It's an internal fight between two completely different versions of yourself. Psychologists call this time inconsistency, and it's a fundamental glitch, a bias, in how our brains are wired. See, our brains are basically built to value what feels good right now, way, way more than what might benefit us in the future. It's pretty much a machine that's hardwired for instant gratification. Just think about it like this. You have a future self. That's the version of you who sets all the awesome goals, like wanting to be healthy and fit. But the one who's actually in the driver's seat making the decisions is your present self. And your present self, right now, it really, really wants that donut. The big problem here is that only the present self can ever take action, and it almost always chooses what's easy and feels good immediately. But wait, the story doesn't stop there with just rewards. Some really recent neuroscience has found an even more powerful cognitive bias that is the real engine behind procrastination. So scientists started using fMRI scans to look at people's brains in action, and they found something pretty mind-blowing. Procrastination isn't just about chasing pleasure, it's even more about avoiding effort. Our brain is constantly doing this little calculation in the background about how much energy any given task is going to cost. And here it is, the key insight. When we think about doing a task later, like tomorrow, our brain discounts the future reward a little bit. But, and this is the crazy part, it discounts the future effort by a massive amount. Later always feels like it's going to be so much easier than now. And that makes it an incredibly tempting choice for our brain, which, evolved to conserve energy for survival. So there's this part of your brain called the dorsomedial prefrontal cortex, and its job is to signal how much effort a task is going to take. But here's the kicker. That effort signal gets turned way, way down when we just think about doing it tomorrow. This huge discount on future effort, that's the scientific signature of a procrastinator's brain. We are literally wired to believe our future self is going to have an easier time. Okay, so that's the problem. Our brains are hardwired to see later as the easy, low-effort option. So how in the world do we fight back against our own biology? Well, the trick is to hack this bias. We have to find clever ways to make our present self feel the real consequences and the real rewards of acting now. All right, strategy number 1. This is probably the most powerful one of all. Just make it easier to start. Remember that brain science? The real pain point isn't actually doing the work. It's the friction and the effort of just getting started. So our job is to make that first step ridiculously, almost laughably small. This is called the 2-minute rule. Whatever your big goal is, you shrink it down until it takes less than 2 minutes to do. So you want to read more. Don't try to read a chapter, just read 1 page. Want to exercise? Don't think about the whole workout, just put on your running shoes. The goal here is to make the starting ritual so simple and easy that your brain can't even argue. You'll find that momentum takes over from there. Next up, we gotta bribe our present self. Since those big long-term rewards are just too far away to feel real, we need to bring a little piece of that reward into the here and now. And there's a really powerful technique for this called temptation bundling. The idea is so simple, but so genius. You pair something you love doing with a task you've been avoiding. For example, maybe you only allow yourself to listen to your favorite true crime podcast while you're on the treadmill. Or you only watch the next episode of that show you're binging while you're folding laundry. This gives your present self that immediate hit of dopamine it craves for doing the hard thing. Now, we can also flip this whole strategy on its head and instead make the cost of procrastinating more immediate. Right now, the consequences of not doing something are way off in the future. They don't feel real. We need to drag some of that future pain into the present moment to get our present self to actually move. So how do you do that? You create immediate stakes. If you agree to meet a friend at the gym at 7 a.m., skipping doesn't just hurt some abstract future you, it means you're letting your friend down right now. Or you could even use a service where you put real money on the line that gets donated to a cause you absolutely hate if you fail. This creates an immediate, very real cost to putting things off. Now, all these tactics are great for winning those individual daily battles. But if you want to win the war against procrastination for good, you need a system. A simple daily routine that just removes the need for willpower and makes being productive the default choice. A fantastic example of this is the Ivy Lee method, which, get this, is over 100 years old. Now, the process itself looks really simple, but the psychological genius behind it is that it completely gets rid of the friction of deciding what to do next. By forcing you to prioritize the night before, it totally short-circuits your brain's tendency to avoid tough decisions in the morning. It just makes it super easy to wake up and get started on task number 1. No thinking required. When it all comes down to it, the guilt and the stress we feel from procrastinating is almost always worse than the actual effort of the task itself. The real path to beating it isn't about finding more willpower or being tougher on yourself. It's about being smarter and designing your habits and your environment to make starting as easy and frictionless as possible. So I'll just leave you with this one final thought. Right now, at this very moment, what is one important thing you've been putting off that you could start in the next 2 minutes? Don't even think about finishing it. Just think about starting. What's one tiny action you could take right now